Hello and welcome to the Hypertrophy Odyssey chapter 261. It is the last day of the week, aka the Big Bang Attack workout. I am feeling alright. My finger's a little fucked right now, so we're going to see how much of this workout I can do. So that'll be a fun little thing. But anyways, back to the main subject matter, which I can't get back to because I haven't even gotten to it yet. But anyways, quarter life crisis. Now, the reason why I wanted to talk about this is literally because I saw a thumbnail today that had it like a discussion about like male like canon events or something like that, and it was in the thumbnail, like the contemplating life after high school, which give or take it's usually happens to everybody, and I think I'll just talk about it in general. But I think if I have the thumbnail here, or if not, just nothing, I look like an idiot. But anyways, I thought about that. It had been on the list for a while because I know that it's something that happens to everyone, the quarter life crisis. And there are some reasons for it and some things that are there to discuss about it. You know, if you are younger, lower than 20 or younger, lower. If you're younger than 25, you probably haven't experienced it yet. If you've already passed 25, you've definitely experienced it. But there seems to be always two crises that usually happen, the quarter life and the midlife most of the time, you know, right around 25 and 50, give or take a couple of years, depending on the person, but also depending on the gender too. But most people, I feel like, go through it at 25, and there are multitudes of reasons why they do that. We'll get to those reasons probably in the voiceover, but for now, I just want to say that I experienced it too. I think it's one of those things that it really doesn't matter who you are. You kind of just experience this. Like it's like a leftover from when we used to not live as long. So for example, when when we would die in our 50s or something like that, and that was like common, I think that's part of it. But we'll get to probably the real reason why it's still around and why we still get this type of idea. But we'll go into that and a bunch of other details, and maybe I'll give you examples of what I was thinking, and maybe you'll find some examples that maybe you were thinking about that too, because it is something that I know that I will probably experience again whenever I get to 50, and I know that that'll probably be a whole other weird thing as well. So I am not looking forward to that one, and that's a different conversation, but for a different day. But for now, I will see you at Mother Base.
Alright, so started this day off with a single arm lat pull down, which was pretty good. But anyways, back to the main subject matter at hand here. The quarter life crisis. So the main reason why I wanted to talk about this was, like I said before, that one intro or thumbnail for a video that I saw, and I was like, wow, this really is a common occurrence that happens to many people. It's not just men, though. I will say women can also go through this entire idea as well, where you kind of just start questioning your life. Now, I think there's multiple reasons for it. First and foremost, I think obviously biologically, our brain stops developing at the age of 25, thus making it so we are fully developed. We are done developing. So that's why certain, use of alcohol or drugs or things like that might delay it for certain people. So that way they might get it later in life. But for the most part, if you are not doing crazy amounts of either or, you're going to be fine / you're going to get it around 25. 25 for me was around the time that I kind of tried to figure out what the hell I'm doing with life. I think that's really the entire idea of it, because most of the time people stop and reassess what is happening in their lives and whether or not they like the path that they're going down. That's why you'll see a lot of college graduates that right after they get their job and after a couple of years, they realize, oh, this is nothing with what I want to do with for the rest of my life. I want to go do something else. And you'll see that a lot. I've experienced that a lot with other people in my life personally. I've seen that it's usually around that age where all of a sudden they just kind of make a complete shift from one thing to another, or they get more serious about life, or they don't get more serious about life, which we'll get to in a second. But I think that that's usually the age where people will stop and start thinking about, okay, is this really going to be what I do forever or for the next 30 years or whatever other existential questions they may or may not have about life. They usually hits around that time. Another reason why I think it hits around this time is because I think our lifespans have gotten longer in life. Obviously, as time and technology has progressed, our lifespan has gotten better and has been able to be extended for a few years. But I feel like a quarter life crisis in maybe like, say, even the early 1900s was about halfway through life, because people did not really live past 50. I mean, they did, but it wasn't necessarily a common thing. Our lifespan was such smaller back then. So thus, that's why I feel like 25, even with the brain development that we know ends, we still are at a midway point about when most of the people are living will live. I mean, yes, of course, there are exceptions, but I think that that is still a holdover from when technology wasn't catching up and allowing us to live a little bit longer. So I think that that is a holdover from those times. There are people that can avoid this, that already know what they're doing in their life and they don't have to worry about this type of thing. But I don't think that they are the normal. I think they are the exception to the rule. I think they may have figured things out beforehand or have had this experience just them before most people normally have it. I think that that's what happens. Or they skip it and then just go to the next one, which is the midlife crisis, which it will happen and be an episode, which we will discuss. But most of the time, it's a little bit of a difference depending on who the person is and their personality. I think that a lot of people will end up going through one or the other, maybe both, depending on what's happening. But it is a chance for you to really sit down and reassess and figure out what is your goals in life. And I think that if you don't have this happen to you, let's say if things aren't going well and it doesn't happen, you have a lot more issues coming up with by it not happening. Because I feel like this is a good checkpoint in your life, like a natural checkpoint in the world to try to tell you whether or not what you're doing is down the right path or not. And thus you're not sitting there at 50 realizing, oh, hey, I've wasted the last 25 years of my life because I didn't decide to do this thing, which was like a natural life check. But it does happen sometimes where people skip it, and then that's when they get the other crisis that happens. That's people will be more dramatic about the idea or things that happen in that crisis because they may have skipped this one. Like I said, it's not necessarily even a crisis for everybody. It's more so along the lines of a stopping and thinking about what is life basically for you in your eyes and seeing if it's going the right way or not.
And we're back. Welcome to the workout debriefing. Exercises not filmed, none exercises skipped. Well, we have two, actually. It's both the rice bucket and the holding of the block. I don't know. I'm just going to block hold, I guess is what it's going to be called. But yeah, didn't do that because my finger is fucked and I don't want to mess with it as much as it already is fucked. So we'll see how it is. But anyways, back to the main subject matter. Quarter life crisis. Something that happens to basically everybody, and it kind of sucks that it happens to everybody, but I feel like it's an experience that it's an experience that you kind of don't understand until you go through it, and then once you go through it, you kind of get it afterwards. It's like a weird, like, rite of passage almost that happens to both men and women. Doesn't matter where you're at or where what happens in life. It always happens around that time frame. So it's very interesting that it happens to everybody. To me personally, it happened to me, and it was a very interesting experience on my end, but very enlightening, to say the least. If it's not enlightening, or if it hasn't happened to you yet, maybe look around and see if there are any outside influences making it so you don't do it for some reason, and wonder to yourself, why haven't I had this? Because sometimes it could be for a good reason, aka your life is going well, there's no reason to really rethink your life, or B, your life is going so horribly, you haven't even gotten to the starting point yet. So either way, you got to be very careful, because it could be one thing or another, but you won't realize it until you're there, right? So, but I feel like if you're living life normally, it'll happen eventually. So with that being said, tell me what you think in the comments below. I'd love to know your thoughts and opinions about this one. This one was more of a little bit of a random one, but just something about life in general and all these other things. That's how it is. Thank you very much for watching. I really do appreciate it. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Please share this video with anybody who may or may not like it. I will be back on tomorrow with a new video. Thanks again for watching. I will see you in the next one. Keep it heavy. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. And I'll see you in the next one. Peace!